Alright, 20.3 we have a repeat of 18.4. I'm just going to get stuck straight into like some general tips that I think are going to apply to most people, and then there's like a couple of considerations if you're in one of two different groups down here as well. So the first one, analyse your 2018 results. Obviously, if you have done this workout before, review your score, recall what it felt like and things you did well and things you could improve on. But if you have a video, ideally, this is why we video workouts, so you can go back and look at them, analyse it, and just get a little list of things that you know you're going to do, you did well, and then things that you want to improve on this time. It helps to formulate a bit of a strategy, or at least just refresh your memory in terms of how it feels and what it's going to be like going into this workout again. You may be a vastly different athlete now than what you were 2 years ago, so obviously take that into consideration when you're forming your strategy, but it's going to be useful information anyway. Break the deadlifts. Pretty much everyone in the world, even at the elite level, needs to break those deadlifts up at the start of the workout in the 21s, in and in the 15s, because it's going to set you up for the second part of the workout. So even if you're aiming to finish this WOD, you will want to break those deadlifts up at the start. Even if you know you can do Diane unbroken pretty comfortably, it's about setting yourself up for that second part of the workout. And we saw this with like Panchik and Goodmanson in the live demo. Panchik broke it up a lot more early on in the workout, in fact all the way through the workout, and he ended up finishing Diane a similar time, like a little bit slower than Goodmanson, but he was almost a minute ahead in his overall time at the end of the workout. So it's not in the unbroken deadlifts, this workout. The handstand push-ups are a little bit more, there's a little bit more wiggle room there for being able to do like bigger sets and potentially unbroken sets at the elite level on those, because they don't seem to be quite as taxing in the back end of the workout. But obviously you need to think about how much upper body strength and endurance you have to be able to keep doing handstand walks later in the workout. So that'll kind of be up to you individually. But we do know that breaking the deadlifts is a good idea at the start. Descending rep schemes, this is just like a pretty basic one that most people will do, but start with, say you're working through the 21 deadlifts, for example, starting with slightly bigger sets and then working your way down to slightly smaller sets generally works really well, particularly in workouts like this where muscle fatigue is more the limiting factor, more than like general aerobic capacity. So yeah, look to just throughout the workout where you are breaking things up, using descending rep schemes where there's a slight decrease in the number of reps as you work through the pattern. Scap and thoracic prep. This is huge. This is going to be really important, particularly if you're a bit tight in the upper body, and particularly if you have trouble meeting that handstand push-up standard with the line, the heels over the line. So making sure you're doing plenty of scap activation, shoulder opening work, maybe some carries, some single arm walking carries, things like that in your warm-up, some handstand holds against the wall, and anything that's going to help open up your thoracic spine as well will be pretty helpful for making sure your range of motion is maximised and everything's switched on, ready to go. Obviously the lower body prep is important as well, with preparing the posterior chain and the core for the deadlifts, making them all activated. But to meet the movement standard here, it's extra important, particularly for some people. While I'm on that point, respect the handstand push-up standard as part of your strategy for this workout. It might be different to what you normally do in training. You might not always use that line in training as a standard, or when you go to other comps, but in the open it is one that kind of, people kind of forget that how difficult it can be for some people. So just make sure you respect that when you're going into it, and have a suitable rep scheme for yourself, and break when needed. And I'll talk about judge communication a little bit more towards the end of this video anyway. And then finally, as a general rule for everyone, mark your hand position. Again, that will help with being consistent and making sure your heels are over the line, and it will take that thinking out of the equation of having to like figure out where your hands are going each round. What tends to happen is people get more fatigued, their hands might start sliding out or going in more inconsistent placement. It'll just keep you on track, particularly if you know that when you're trying to meet this particular standard, you have to keep a more narrow hand placement or closer to the wall. It'll keep you on track with that, and it'll stop you from deviating from that later on when you get tired. Mark the hand position with like some tape or something that's not going to like slip off or get rubbed off. Okay, so last piece of advice I've got. I've got two groups here. One is the group that's maybe the deadlift is the weak point in the workout, so the bad deadlift group, and then we've got the bad gymnastic group or the bad handstand push-up, handstand walk group. Okay, so if you know the deadlifts is the weaker part for you, you do want to think about doing like a fairly fast Diane time. So you may not want to be like, you don't want to be like really aggressive with it, but you want to be finishing that Diane at about like a 90% effort, somewhere around there maybe. Depending how much time you want to give yourself on the heavy bar, but you know, the ideal goal for you is that you get to that heavy bar with plenty of time to be able to start working through it. So you want to be pretty aggressive with Diane, but still considering all these things I said here. So still breaking up the deadlifts and playing it smart, but yeah, pretty aggressive with your pace. And then singles towards the end of your sets are okay. So like, that's probably going to apply mostly to like the set of heavy 21 deadlifts or even the 15s, depending how far you get. You might start with like 5s or 3s on the 21 heavy barbell, but then as you tail off and get to like the last like 5-6 reps of your 21, you might find it keeps you moving better if you can just do some good solid singles towards the end, and that might set you up for the handstand walk. So it's perfectly fine for you to do those singles when needed, but I think the majority of the time, if you can manage at least 2 or 3 reps, it does help because you can get that little bit of a touch and go off the ground between each repetition, and it keeps the momentum that way. All right, so I only use this when you really have to with the singles, but they may need to come out at some point in the workout. Okay, if you're in the bad handstand push-up group or bad handstand walk group, the main thing you need to think about early in the workout is nice, crisp, effective reps. So making sure that every rep, the heel's up over the line and you're not having to hang around for too long at the top of the rep. Okay, that's going to take some good communication with your judge potentially, and making sure, which is my second point here, just making sure you've got a good, confident judge. When your heel's up over the line, they're calling that number straight away, which indicates to you the rep's complete and you can come down. So you're not having to wait for them at the top of the rep, and there's any like a delay in their communication. Practice doing that with that judge before you start the workout, so they're happy with the standard and you're happy with the way they're calling it, so you're not wasting time holding at the top of reps and things like that. That's really important, and just making sure they're nice tidy reps at the start of the workout. That'll get you off to a good start, and then you can stay smooth as you go through. Okay. The other point for you guys is don't try, if you are like okay on the deadlifts and you're confident on that movement, you don't need to try and overcompensate by being extra fast on the deadlifts. So what I mean by that is like, don't try and hold on for like extra big sets, because you need to be fresh for your gymnastics. Okay, so you're not going to gain much by going a few seconds faster than like the other people on the deads, but in fact you're actually going to jack up your heart rate, your fatigue, for the stuff that you're a bit weaker at. Okay, so treat that as your easier station, conserve a little bit more on those deads. You'll still be reasonably fast on them compared to other people probably, and then you can execute gymnastics a lot better. Just on the deadlifts as well, this applies to everyone. The rep speed should be quite fast. So if you're holding at the top of reps or you're coming down with like a bit of like controlled tempo or anything like that, that's not the way to go. In training, that can be what you're trying to do in training, but deadlifts for competition, they need to be like pretty hard and fast and sharp. And if they start to slow down, it's an indication to take a short rest. And the only point you should be like grinding out deadlifts in this workout is like maybe towards the end of the set, each round on the heavy bar, because you're just trying to like, they're obviously getting really heavy and you've got to like just take them one at a time. Or at the very end of the workout, if the seconds are counting down, you really haven't got much time left and you're just doing your best on them at the very end. But other than that, they should all look like a similar kind of speed all the way through the workout. And I think that's probably about it, guys. So I hope you enjoy this one and I hope you do well. Let us know how you go, and all the best. We'll see you next week for the next update. Thanks.